So on this blank Bitcoin chart, I'll draw a Fibonacci from the last major low to the last major high. It looks like we have broken the trend. Here's low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and now lower low. So this is the start of a downtrend. So we had an uptrend like this, up, up, up. Now that we've had this lower low, this is the first requirement for a downtrend. So what needs to happen is when we come up, we need to form a lower high than this one. So if we come up to here and then come down, this is when we have finally confirmed a downtrend. And if we cannot break this all-time high, we have a lower low and a lower high, and that is just a confirmation we have changed a trend. Yes, trends can quickly go back the other direction, but that is notable if it does happen. So be on the lookout for when we come back up, do we top out before we break this high? If so, that's bad news, and there's a high probability that we go even lower than this one. It would not be crazy to say that we come up to 100K and then we begin moving down and we break this low here, and now we're already at 57K, come back up to 70, down some more, getting closer to 40, and then we end up down here at 28 again. It could very easily happen. I know not anyone wants to hear that, or some people might want to hear that because they're trying to buy, but these things can go way, way more extreme than you ever think they will. Like, no one thought from 70K it was going to go back down to 15. Also here at 20K, most people didn't think it was going to go back down to 3K. Just keep that in mind. These things go crazy up and they come down just as crazy. So let's look a little deeper. All I did was draw the one Fibonacci on the monthly. Okay, let's come to the weekly. This is actually pretty good. The weekly closes today. I'll have my weekly update video where we'll see where this candle actually closes, because the candle close is important. Like, we only get one a week. The candle changes what it looks like, but at the end of the week, that candle is printed, it's done, it doesn't change. So we're now back above this Fibonacci, even though we went all the way down to 59, 60,000. Now we're back up at 71. That's kind of a good sign, right? We got to take every little variable into account and form kind of like a score, right? Like, okay, we held the 50% Fibonacci. This candle's starting to look a lot better with a big longer wick. They mean something when the wick gets fully recovered before the candle closes. So I'm going to turn off my Fibonacci here so we can get a bigger picture, because a friend of mine actually pointed this out, and I think it's worth noting. So if you take the tops of the last bull market and then the bottom, so basically you make a full channel. So this was the two tops of the 2020 bull market, and then the bottom in between the two tops, this V-shaped area, and it formed a channel, and it's been respected quite a few times. I mean, look at it. Once we finally broke it, it was a long time till we got back, but it did come back again and gave us a little trouble. Then we got through it, and we came back and retested it again on the bottom. So this has been in play. Also, even the midline, you see this center line? It's been respected a couple times as well. The top here, you can see how many times we were holding it as the top, and then when we did break through it, it shot down kind of abruptly. Also, we had a little pit stop here before going up to a new all-time high. This one just powered right through, but the midline did catch it, and then we came back up and retested it as a top before this final leg down. But just lately, we have retested it again, and it held massively. So this is a good channel to draw. Basically, take the two tops from the 2020 bull market and then extend it down to the very bottom of the kind of mid bull market kind of lull zone here. And just keep an eye out for this. Out of respect, we're just going to call it the TT line, okay? Alright, so I have our couple bigger drawings done here. We're just going to stick with like high time frames for this like update episode. Well, actually no, we'll go into the lower ones, but for now we're just going to do monthly support and resistance. As I've said many times before, I really like to draw and label them as the time period I drew them on. I'll go more into detail on this in my time frame video and my support and resistance video. But I'm just going to grab these real quick that are in play, right? And we're also going to convert these into zones. So I'm showing you here how I start off by drawing my monthly lines, or just my support and resistance lines in general. Then I come here and I turn them into zones and I delete those lines. So this and this is a zone. This and this is a zone. I'm going to go quick here so you can kind of see. Okay, and then this and this. Now what I'll do is I'll go delete those lines since they're now signified by zones. Kind of keeps it clean, and then I also label the zone by the time frame on which I drew them. These really come into handy because, as I've said many times before, the bigger time frames have a lot more weight to them. This is why I label them, you know, according to the time frames. So, alright, see what I did there? I drew the lines, and I said, okay, these lines are real close together. Let's make them into zones. Now we got our zones. I like to kind of group them by what they are. So these are zones. These are lines. Let's even just kind of go do this for the ones I already had grouped. This is Fibonacci's, and these are channels. Okay, and then let's lock them down so we don't accidentally move them around, and I'll turn them off for now too. We'll turn them all back on later and see the big picture. It's kind of nice to just sit there and do your drawings, turn them off, do new drawings, so that you don't have a bias in your own head of like, oh, well, this drawing's there, so this one's more important. You kind of hide it from yourself, and then you see it all at once. And now the final drawing we'll do is our trend lines. And these are actually, they're probably the tougher ones to draw. Like I said in my trend line video, you just kind of look. You got to imagine. When something kind of looks like so stair-steppy, you can kind of see there's probably a line. Here are the ones I see. I see there's always a bottom one. There was one here. And there was one on the top. We've already drawn that channel, but there might be something there. So those are the ones I can picture in my head that I just quickly see. There might be something here. Okay, yeah, as I started to draw it, I can see it a little more, right? And wow, it goes directly to where we are. So, okay, let's get to it. Let's get to it and do it. We'll start off with the top trend line here. I'm just going to very quickly draw something to get it on the page. And then we're going to tighten them up. Right. Oh, shoot. I should have left my drawings up, but that's alright. You're getting live content here. Live action. You never know what's going to happen when you're watching BitPlayer 1. You never know. This one looks terrible. That's going to need some serious fixing. Oh yeah, and then this guy here. There was one here. Oh shoot. Oh jeez. Oh boy. And then there's one here. And let's just kind of stay organized here. I'm going to call these trend lines, and we will turn them all off and go one at a time through them to kind of see what's going on. So for these ones, you can drag the scale here on the right to kind of make it a little easier to see, and I'm doing everything on the monthly here. Like I showed you on my personal chart, these things can get really, really out of hand, kind of. And you want to try to make these not too big, you know, because you could draw a trend line like this and be like, oh, yeah, well, that covers everything. We're good. Everything's in the trend all the time. No, you want to kind of stick to tops of wicks and candle closes with, like, you want a lot of the wicks to be inside of the trend line we draw. I want to grab this latest wick just because it's the latest one. And this top one, then we'll bring that down to grab those. It's kind of a large trend line, but, you know, whatever. That's what we're going with. There it is. That's the line. It is. And all of its glory. And I'll lock it there so I know we finished that one. This one was, well, looks more like a zone than a line, but let's see. I think it was actually more of a, yeah, okay. And then maybe I actually go to there. Okay. What if I... Yeah, actually, you know, I kind of like that. I'm taking the tops of I'm ensuring to take this zone, but then I'm kind of diagonalizing it down into this area, and you can see the midline here is respected quite a bit. It captures kind of some closes here. All of the candle closes are inside of it. The wicks went down, but they came all back in. I think I like this. It's one of my, not my favorite one, but it'll do for now. Now where the heck did this guy go? Oh yeah, this is the one where I said every chart will have a bottom trend line, which is usually true. As long as it's not something just completely terrible that has only gone down forever, always. And alright, boom. Gotta make sure to get this very bottom, and then let's touch to there. Okay. I would say we could even, well, we could do that. I want to encapsulate this area because it does come into play. So that actually looks really good. And then if you want to kind of capture these, but you don't want to like move where it's at, you use this middle one and then magnet to where you want it to be. So let's take this one as our top. So this will be our, and I'll mark it as support because it is the very bottom. This probably won't come into play for a long time, if ever, but oh man, that would be insane. Oh my gosh. This might be the huge trend line that actually, wherever we do bottom out, could be the next macro bottom. Okay, sorry, I don't want to get too excited. Moving on. All right. This is the one we just broke. I talked about this in my latest videos. Alright, we'll take this bottom, and then for this, we'll just anchor it there. This one's sticking out, so I'll take this middle guy. Boop. Feel like we're grabbing too much on the tops. Honestly, I like this better, even though it doesn't really capture this bottom here. This seems to, well, it could go up to there. Well, but then we're not taking that into account. And then now it finally touches there. I think this is a good one. This one has a lot of room for play, but you gotta just choose something eventually. This will stay blue. And now our top trend line. this one's probably pretty easy. I'll take the candle close there. We'll stretch it to that very all-time high. We'll bring the top up so we're getting all the top wicks. Then maybe we'll actually move this up to there. So this will be the final part we take in, and then we'll mark this as a resistance top. Let's look real quick at all of our drawings together, and then it looks so crazy when you do everything all at once, but when you come into the like small time frames, it's really cool to see how those things we drew on like yearly scales come into play on 15-minute charts, right? Like this monthly zone was really trying to hold, but once we lost it, we came back up for a touch again here. Let's get a drawing tool out. That was it. That was like a confirmation on we're gonna dip out. And then also you'll notice that when we get big volume as we go through a line, it's more convincing as well too. And would you look at that? I believe, is this, oh, it's a channel. This was the TT channel from my homie. That, man, we did catch it there. It looks like there was also this other yellow channel. I remember which one that was. We bounced exactly off the top of that. Oh, it's because I drew it too here, though. So, all of this stuff is grain of salt. It is very cool, though, to see it come into play in real time. The most important ones that I feel are these horizontal and the zones, and especially the monthly ones. This monthly one is very important, and the fact that we've crashed on through, came back up, and now we're back in it. This is that 50% Fibonacci that we drew. So we come to an hourly chart. This is going to be our big test. This monthly zone. Are we going to be able to get through it and get on top of it? And then we have another monthly line above us. If we get above this monthly line, the whole picture changes quite a bit, because we've done a lot of work to get all the way from down here above these monthly lines. We haven't yet, but if we can get above this zone and line, there's no other monthly lines all the way till 97K. Yeah, we have this Fibonacci line, which might come into play at 83, but this is actually really good. We're in this zone of a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to do here to get above, and we probably, when there's these lines so close together, we do a lot of just kind of chopping around, because the reason these lines work is everybody else is also drawing them. So yeah, we're in the chop zone. We're going to be chopping up, you know, but we'll see. I do my weekly updates, and we will definitely be on the lookout for this. I picked up Bitcoin at the lows. And let's actually just kind of turn everything off, and I'll explain why. It's similar to what I did with gold. We had a volume climax. This is the biggest volume we had in quite some time. Also, again, I had friends texting me about it, that it was doom and gloom, and oh, we're going to go down to 40K, I'll start buying. I'm like, okay, maybe this is a quick flush out. So, with all that said, we talked about the macro drawings, the volume climax. With it all said and done, I turned off a lot of the other drawings. I think that what happened was we broke this trend. We had a big flush out, but this low has been saved, and I think we just put in a more of a macro low, and we do start to put in the work to bring things higher. Part of it's gut feeling, part of it is just all those variables we discussed. But I think that could have been it. That could have been your really quick chance to get in before potentially all-time high in months. I don't think it's going to be fast, but I think a lot of people got scared out here. A lot of people didn't buy here because they thought it was over, and they were going to look for 40K, 30K, 50K. 50K was the sweet spot where most people wanted to get in. But if we go back to the basic trend rule, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, or I guess higher high, higher low, and then this would be the high. Consider, like, imagine this wasn't there, and this was more of the low, and this was the high, then this would just be another higher low from here. Because there are intermediate trends. So I think the uptrend is just fine, and the highs are getting higher. And this could have been just a quick flush out. So I know almost every time I talk about Bitcoin, it's like hopium, but it's just the way I see it.